Hello, everyone, and welcome to the MakerDAO Scientific Governance and Risk Meeting, number 151, taking place on the 22nd of July, 2021. My name is Long for Wisdom. I'm one of the governance facilitators at MakerDAO. I'm one of the two people who chair these meetings. As always, we've got a bit of an agenda to get through and have some updates from the core unit facilitators. Don't think we have anything else on our agenda, so we'll maybe transition into some QA or discussion time after that. If anybody has anything they want to bring up, feel free to start thinking about it now. Yeah, usual rules apply. We'd like to hear from you. If you're new to these calls, feel free to interrupt. Feel free to make comments, ask questions, etc. We like when people get involved. All right, so I'll hand it over to Rose in just a second, but we're going to start with some updates of where we're at governance-wise. So we didn't actually have any polls ending this week, but we have two sets of polls still active. We have two green light polls active, the Gelato UniV3 DAI-USDC LP token, fun acronyms, and we also have the Untangled Finance Drop token, green light poll up. We also have a fairly large set of ratification polls for July, which are active until Monday. So please vote in both of those if you haven't. And we'll have David and the Mips editors give us an update on how those ratification polls are going later in the call. In terms of the executive, we have not yet passed last week's executive. Still holding out hope, but if you haven't voted, please consider doing so. And I believe this week's executive will be onboarding some centrifuge assets, but we will, I guess, let protocol engineering go into detail there. All right, I think that's me. Peyton, do you want to give us a GovAlpha update?
Yeah, absolutely. So been a semi-busy week for us over at GovAlpha, a lot of stuff going on. Highlights are, you might have noticed the announcement of the delegation process. So huge thanks to Long for putting together all that documentation. I guess I should share the link to my update so you can follow along if you wish. Got links in there for the different posts that Long has put together. We've also started crafting our budget. We are intending to do a 6-month budget this time, so 2 quarters rather than one we typically have been doing. And that's just because with a 1 quarter budget, you kind of only have 1 month till you have to start drafting again, and that makes the process a little difficult. Other highlight was over the weekend, we did have a replacement spell go up, so you can read my governance report on that, and I believe there will be a post-mortem from the PE team coming sometime soon as well. Outside of that stuff, we've been working on the Mips portal, so if you haven't been there lately, you should check it out. I believe the latest update isn't quite live yet, but we'll be going live later today. You'll notice some new menu additions and basically better organization for sub-proposals. In addition to the other delegation stuff I mentioned, we're also hosting the first Meet Your Delegate call next week. That's going to be July 28th at 1800 UTC. And we're going to have El Progreso, Paper Imperium, and Tim Black on that first call with further calls to go over the other recognized delegates. Yeah, you can kind of read up on the rest of the stuff, but I think that's all the important highlights we have there, and I'll kick it back to Long. Yeah, that's GovAlpha.
Thank you, Peyton. And then I believe we have, oh crap, who is it? I think it's Civics who's doing Forum at a Glance this week. Yep. Yeah, Civics, take it away.
Okay, thanks, Long. Hi, everyone. Civics again, bringing yet again the Forum at a Glance. Leaving the link in the chat so you can tag along. We go to the 3-point summary. First point, the surplus buffer went down to 48 million DAI after hitting 50 million for the very first time. This was due to a core unit budget distributions last weekend. The total value locked went down a bit too, but not too much, to almost 9.2 billion, and PEG's looking stable since last week. In announcements, Tim posted a couple of interesting articles in this week's relay you may have missed. Stablecoins facilitated an astonishing 1.7 trillion in transaction volumes in the second quarter, according to Methery. Also, stablecoins swelled by 13 billion in 30 days, capturing 67% of today's crypto trade volume. Long for Wisdom also brings us two posts about delegation, in which details the purpose, types, and requirements to be a delegate. Delegation and MakerDAO and recognize delegate requirements. We have also a couple of discussions. DAI on different chains, number 2. Alec delves more about the wallets holding DAI on non-EVM chains. Planet X expressed his opinions against the ratification poll for Strategic Market's core unit, prompting various responses from several members of the appointed team. Paper Imperium brings his thoughts on the recent paper released by the Federal Reserve with the National Bureau of Economic Research about regulating stablecoin users as banks. Oh boy. And the final one is about the AMAZIX marketing core unit. In the final stretch of the voting for the onboarding of the AMAZIX core unit in the executives, an anonymous post reignites debate, as some community members believe this might not be the best approach as to how we discuss this kind of matters. And only one signal request this week. Ultra Shupi is signaling to raise the debt ceiling for Unis B2 DAI USDC-A, so you can go vote as of now. That's all for Forum at a glance, and back to Long.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Civics. Does anyone have any questions or comments for either myself, Peyton, or Civics before we move on? All right, so let's move on. Chris, Protocol Engineering update.
Yep. Hey everybody, Chris from Protocol Engineering. So as you know, like a good chunk of the team's in Paris right now. So our update's a little sparse, and we've also been kind of encumbered by just a really big review. So on the topic of that review, so we've been looking at the 4 new centrifuge asset additions for real world assets, and created a kind of really large comprehensive checklist of things to go through every time we onboard these. This is kind of upfront work, and hopefully will make things faster in the future. But all of those 4 collaterals are currently in Kovan, so that spell's been executed and they're running there. And we're in the process of reviewing the mainnet spell now. You'll get a kick out of the checklist if you go to the spells mainnet repo and look at that checklist. It's a beast. So then for contract work, we have the DSS Vest code, which is still an audit. I think they sent back a few things, but I've been heads down on other stuff, so I'll need to look at what they found. And then we added the LERP helpers to the DSS exec lib, and the Clipper Collie implementation for Sushi Join is still in review. And then for discussions, I'm just going to say we'll start deploying, because other teams have been asking about Goerli. We'll start deploying to Goerli probably in the coming weeks. We just need to kind of clear the slate a little bit. I think to manage expectations, we likely will not be on Goerli by the time London hits mainnet, which isn't ideal, but I think it is what it is, and I don't know if that's going to be a blocker for anyone, or if that's a major problem for another team. Like, let us know. So I imagine we'll be completely cut over to Goerli, like probably in the next month or so. And also the DSS charter, which was this sort of like a permission vault type thing, right? That's been in review and discussion with the risk and growth teams. So I am guessing that they met in person in Paris. So I don't know if maybe they'll cover that in more detail. And then we had a postmortem that we're reviewing now that we'll post for the spell that was off. The sort of TLDR is that the debt ceiling for that spell needed to be increased, and our normal process goes through the DSS exec lib to increase the debt ceiling. But whenever we do that for real world assets, there's this sort of additional caveat that we need to also bump the price because those don't have real oracles. So in the normal case, an oracle like is always adjusting the price. And in the case of real world assets, we kind of like mock out the oracle. And so we actually need to like adjust the price in the oracle at the same time we increase the debt adjustment of the price that we had forgotten. It was the first time we've ever increased a debt ceiling for the real world assets, which is why this was missed, but there'll be more details in that postmortem. So, also on the PE team, because that was a pretty sparse list that has like a thing that they're working on that I missed, or anyone want to add an update? And then also, is there anybody that maybe has any questions?
Chris, is that a MIP 21 or MIP 22 issue?
It's actually going to be a MIP 21 issue. Yeah, so it's anytime we want to increase the debt ceiling, we also need to bump the price of the collateral. It's because the tokens that we use for the MIP 21 adapter are basically mocked out tokens. They don't have like a real discoverable price. Effectively, we're the ones that, or whatever, like creating the sort of market value based on like the loan that we give to it. So.
Thank you.
Chris, can you provide a little bit more background on the connection between the Garley testnet and why it is relevant for the London update?
Yeah, so Kovan is, which is the testnet we use now, is at end of life. So they are no longer going to support updates, and so we're not going to get a chance to see like London as deployed on the Kovan. Made those changes because I keep having to update my Open Ethereum nodes in order to like get them to keep up to date. But I think maybe Kovan may end up supporting London, but then that'll be the last thing it does. And I don't think it may not even hit it in time for the release. So I'm not entirely sure where Kovan stands with regards to the London hard fork. But obviously, I think it was Robston went first, and that's slightly relevant because there was a consensus bug like yesterday or the day before, which maybe I had seen like a few weeks ago because I couldn't sync a node against Robston, and that was post their London update. And then Goerli got the sort of tail end of the change for the upgrade to London, and Goerli is a very like resilient testnet because it's got like it's multi-client. I mean, Robston is multi-client too, but Goerli, it seems like in the Ethereum core dev call that Goerli was going to be the sort of last testnet, the last staging environment before things went to mainnet. Yeah, in my experience, syncing Goerli was pretty good too. But the downside here is the way gas is handled, maybe wallets. I'm not sure that we're going to get a chance to test all of the, let's say the biggest impact would be with UIs on Kovan. It would be nice if we were already on Goerli and able to test that. But a lot of this Kovan shutting down news came a little bit late, at least for our ability to sort of like stay on schedule and react to it. So yeah.
Did we have the Robson deployment or not?
I think we might have a Robson deployment. Well, it's in the changelog. You can look there, but it may be very old.
And is it still the case that
Robston is just proof of authority? So not Robson, sorry. Rinkaby's proof of authority on Geth. And I think we did have a Robson deployment, but I can't sync an Open Ethereum node against that right now. So yeah, I don't know. I should try again since they like patched it yesterday, but.
So the consequence is that the front end teams, they should test their front ends as soon as the London hard fork happens, right?
Yes.
On mainnet, if we won't be ready for Gully.
That's right. I would even say keepers, how we calculate gas, all of that is going to be totally different. So keepers need to think about how they're calculating gas. Maybe if you're describing the sort of API and those APIs have updated how they calculate gas, then you'll be okay. But yeah, that I think is the sort of biggest caveat, is just how do you calculate gas? I mean that in a good way. Oh, my internet connection's unstable, but yeah, she's been yammering about it for a few weeks now because they're trying to figure out how they do the gas calculation for my crypto, and so
maybe we can move this discussion to after the updates, because
yeah.
I do think it grants more in-depth discussion, especially because there are a few scenarios that can unfold, right? This is a very big update. Big updates can bring volatile market conditions with them, and at the same time, the processes that prevent, for example, Black Thursdays will be retested in a new environment.
Exactly. Yep. So if we're all calculating gas wrong and we get volatile network conditions, and then the keepers don't work, we're in trouble. So yeah, we can we'll have time probably at the end of the call. We can just think about a few things all together and maybe come up with some plan of action.
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right, for now let's maybe move on. So I guess Oracles. Nick, you got an update for us this week?
Yeah, kind of a short update on my part. So the end of next week is going to be my team within the foundation's kind of last week within the foundation. So after that, starting August 1st, we'll officially kind of be spun out. The legal entity formation is underway for the new Oracle core unit. And it's really just this kind of transitionary period right now where we're trying to make sure that the handover of things like infrastructure, internal processes, important kind of historical documentation, all of that, that there is a kind of transfer of information where possible, and identifying kind of the holes of the processes, kind of new processes that we need to spin up within the core unit, right? That used to be responsibilities that were covered within the foundation. On the technical side, the production deployment of libp2p is continuing. We've moved on to a new phase, right, where originally we did the deployment within a small subset of the production feeds in order to ensure that if there was any instability, that we would still be able to achieve quorum. Now that we've ascertained that the build is quite stable, now we've been rolling it out to the rest of them. So we're in the final stages of that rollout. So hopefully next week I can be up here telling you guys that the rollout has been 100% complete. And I think the timing of that is quite good, considering it'll be right when we leave the foundation. I think that's a good break point before we kind of start the next projects that we have in mind. On the development side, I've been taking a lot more of a look at things like staked ETH, as well as the Oracle that would be needed for the fast DAI withdrawal bridge for Optimism. Those seem like the kind of two interim projects that we're going to be doing before we really kick off the kind of a big roadmap that we have for the Oracle core unit for the actual Oracle protocol. Other than that, just a ton of kind of little things here and there. I think we added support for Matic, and so testing for that is underway. So from the Oracle side, we should be good to deploy Matic within the next couple weeks. I think that's it for now.
Great, thank you, Nick. Anyone got any questions about oracles? All right. So moving on then, I think risk is next, and I think we have Marco this week.
Yeah. Hey guys, Marco Rema here from the risk team. This week Primož is on vacation, that's why I'm doing this weekly update. So from the previous week, we are still working on simulations for lower liquidation ratio vaults. Hopefully we will publish results next week, but currently still work in progress. This week we started working on Aave Monitor, which will help us monitor risk relevant for the direct deposit module. It will include segmentation of the largest users based on the type of their position, which will be similar as we showed in the risk assessment. Basically what percentage of assets is used for recurse leverage farming and what is not. This information will be related to MakerVault users and will give us a better understanding of which users can easily unwind their position in the case of larger market drops. A similar thing will also be built for Compound because there is also a lot of recurse leverage farming with DAI there. Then we also started working on a historical analysis of Vault users and their behavior. This will include some growth and risk-related topics. So, for example, how many vaults did we manage to retain based on different time periods of when the vault was created, and how users are managing risk. This would, for example, include when the price drop and users need to increase their collateral ratio. Are they doing so by just adding more collateral or repaying debt or some combination of it? And also stuff like who is protected by DeFi Saver and similar things. Then we also started working on G-Uni DAI USDC risk assessment. I think it will be published either next or in the following week. And then finally, we also made some updates in the collateral onboarding prioritization table, which will be merged with the official public file in the following days. This is all from our side for this week. If somebody wants to ask something, please do.
Yeah, thank you, Marco. Yeah, like some of that coming analysis stuff sounds really cool. So looking forward to seeing some of that. All right, if no one interrupts me, we will move on. So that brings us to reward finance, I believe.
Yeah, thanks. So two news on our side. The first one is that Mark AES published a budget analysis on the forum. So what a run rate of revenues and expenses looks like in the next 12 months with the current revenues. So we would, if we onboard all core units, we will be negative in net income. So we will lose some, make a deficit. But we will still be cash flow positive, which is kind of good because we can increase the surplus buffer this way, but still not a lot. So maybe you can follow the discussion in the forum and participate to chime in and see what the protocol should do regarding the situation. Obviously, the situation is quite fluid and we can have more news in the following months or less, but it's always good to have spreadsheet to work on and get some test some hypotheses. And the other news is besides the 4 centrifugal assets that will be on the spell, that should be on the spell tomorrow. The other news is on the SolarX front, we might get a bit too late to take the opportunity to invest in the the first solar farm project they are working on. We are still working with them and Uprits on other kind of projects, but our main focus is to do it right. And we are working a lot on the Cayman Foundation. Most of the stuff are more or less solved. We have a call with OGA tomorrow to fix the last things. And we have started to work on a MIP for the communication between the MakerDAO and the foundation. So more on that should be an end of the month. If you have any question, feel free. And I must say that Matthew said last month that it will not be possible to do it in 1 month, and he was right.
All right. Thank you, Seb. Yeah, I feel like Matt has experience. Cool. All right. That brings us to growth, I believe. Nadia, do you have an update for growth?
Yeah. Yes. Hey, everyone. So here is the link with the weekly updates. Part of the growth team is here in Paris. It has been an amazing week. So yeah, we are happy to meet people from the community. We had a Maker Mafia side event yesterday, which was super great. I think it's super important to maintain the presence of Maker in different conferences and explain to everyone the process that we are going through, explaining them the importance of the DAO, the community, how we are becoming decentralized, because that is interesting for the crypto community in general, and also for people who are outside the crypto ecosystem. It was interesting also to see all these people who are followers of Maker and are always wanting to understand what we are doing. And definitely we have to have more presence in conferences like this. Also, well, Gustav and I participated in ETHCC. Gustav talk about real world assets, and I talk about the transition from the foundation to the DAO. And in other news, well, during the past months, we have been working with Grayscale. I'm sure you saw the announcement of Grayscale about including the Maker token in the DeFi fund they just launched. We have been working with them, explaining to Grayscale's legal team everything about Maker, and in the following weeks we will start also some educational program that they want to launch for their investors. And thank you so much to Nick, who was in the Twitter space of Grayscale on Tuesday to tell everyone about Maker. So that's all for this week.
Perfect. Thanks, Nadia. Anyone got any questions for growth? Because I have like random questions about ETHCC and like the Maker Mafia event. Like, it went well. Any like giant surprises? Did anybody like show up and was like 2 feet taller than you thought they would be, or 2 feet shorter?
Derek, definitely way taller than expected.
It's nice. I mean, well, during the Maker Mafia event, every core unit told to the audience what they are doing. So we had Juan, we had Kat, we had also Derek, Sam. Yes, so it was great. We had also like Juan was also Peyton. That was interesting. So maybe Peyton, no, I don't know, Juan created some confusion. And you know, a guy said that he was you. So
Really?
I'm not sure. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, with an English, with a British accent and all of that. So yeah, I don't know what to think.
All right. Well, I mean, it wasn't me.
Well, that's what you would say.
It is what I would say, but yeah, I've been writing docs all week. Cool. All right. Yeah, glad it went well. Super happy to hear. You still get to participate vicariously. Cool. All right. Let's move on. Content production. Do you have an update for us this week?
Yeah. Thank you. Got a few more updates than usual, but I'll try and keep them brief. I'll drop update we posted in the forum in the chat. This week we included a quarterly update. This is our last update for our first quarter in operation. So we gave a little update there. We'll give an accounting update in the next one to let everybody know where our funds are at. The budget that we proposed for the next quarter is currently passing. So thank you everybody who's supported us as we get up and running, and all the token holders for voting on that. Big focus for the last couple of weeks has been, creating audio and video clips of Maker Relay. You might have seen in YouTube already, we've created 3 videos from this last week's episode of Maker Relay. So we're going to be doing updates that cover current events, the state of DAI, and votes and polls. It's taken a little bit of work, kind of getting the lift on production there, but as we do this like for 2 or 3 weeks, once we get 2 or 3 weeks into this, that process should be very streamlined. And we think this will be a pretty low effort, high quality way to get more attention around the leadership that we're basically to put a spotlight on our leadership in decentralized governance. We've also been working on our plans for more explainer videos. We've met with governance and protocol engineering to talk about some videos specifically focused on governance and the protocol, and are kind of honing the organization of these. But if anyone has any specific videos that they would like to see or ideas on how these might be organized, please feel free to get in touch. We love any feedback we can get on that. And I believe we have integrated all of the requests that we've gotten for videos so far into these. So if anything's missing, please let me know. The art contest to decide a mascot for MakerDAO is still running. Please get your submissions in, mascot@makerdao.world. That'll be running through the end of the month. We got the community portal redirected so that it now points at makerdao.world. And we were finally able to touch base on getting some technical support on how to deal with the back end this week. And after looking at it, we've realized that it's going to be more work than we anticipated, unfortunately. And it's going to be more effective for us to actually overhaul the thing than to bring somebody on to keep it updated. So apologies to everyone that I've promised I would help get articles and stuff published on the community blog. Unfortunately, that's going to have to go on the back burner for now, but we're going to get together some plans to overhaul that. The community portal will be back, but just with a friendlier content management system. Yeah, as the growth team mentioned, Kat is hanging out at ECC this week and got the opportunity to speak at the Maker Mafia event yesterday. So if you're there and want to learn more about what the content team's up to, please get in touch with her. And last but not least, we've put a post in the forum about conducting brand research. Basically looking to speak with anybody who might be interested about why MakerDAO matters to you. And we're aggregating those results to share with the community. And that will also help us come up with, that'll help inform the content that we create over the next few months. So please sign up for that. Yeah, that'll just take like 15 to 30. Yeah, we're basically looking for 15 to 30 minutes of your time to chat about MakerDAO. That's all the updates I've got for this week. Happy to take questions if anybody's got them, or pass it back to Long for some more updates.
Really quickly, what's like the simplified explanation of like the blocker for the blog? I'm curious. Also, we could take this like offline. We don't have to actually cover this right now.
Yeah, the TLDR is, you know, the portal was essentially created to make it easy for contributors to update it. And unfortunately, like the more we've looked into the back end, it just requires too many updates for us to, there's kind of just too much tech work that needs to be done for it to be a robust solution for us.
Do you mean that like it takes a lot, like because everybody has to do it in Markdown, it has to be like specifically formatted, all the front matter, is that part of the reason, just all of the weight associated with the process of publishing it?
Somewhat. It's less about that and more about the amount of dependencies that have been integrated in the back end and would need to be updated on an ongoing basis. There's stuff that's already kind of broken in the last few weeks and needs to be updated, and as we've looked at it, we've seen that that's kind of going to be more of an ongoing problem than we want to deal with.
I see. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Would the new version still have the possibility for outside contributors to send suggestions?
Yes. Yeah, we definitely want to retain that functionality. Yes, David, I have touched base with Rajan. He was nice enough to give us some of his time, but he's got so many projects going on otherwise, he's not going to be able to help on an ongoing basis.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Seth. Yeah, I haven't checked out Maker Relay in a good long while, so maybe I'll have another look and be wowed. Yeah, I guess I was kind of curious about the mascot like competition as well. Like, have you received any submissions yet? Like any good ones?
To be honest, no, we haven't gotten submissions yet. Kind of figure with ECC going on, didn't expect to get many submissions until later towards the end of the month anyway. But yeah, kind of making a push this week to try and promote that a little more. I know Kat's been handing out a bunch of cards around the event. And we'll be
that's cool. Yeah,
posting it up more.
Awesome. Yeah, I like looking forward to. I hope we do get some. I'm looking forward to seeing some. That's a cool thing.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Let's maybe move on then, which brings us to sustainable ecosystem scaling. So Juan, do you have an update for us?
Yeah. Hi, Long. Hi, everyone. My name is Juan from Sustainable Ecosystem Scaling. We do have a quick update for you. So I'll go through the slides and we can cover more later. But yeah, we are part of the team was in Paris. So it was nice to see the team and also everyone else in the community. Lenka was here and Layer 0 was here as well. So that was nice to see each other. Regarding the videos, last week Andy was in the call for the this weekly call that we have, and he spoke about roles and responsibilities and gave like a very quick overview on how to kind of organize your core unit. So if you missed it, the video is in the public folder. It was very, very interesting and setting different review times and schedules and how to do it and organize internally. So yeah, it might be a nice watch for anyone with the core unit. We're still, oh yeah, sorry. And tomorrow Nikolai is going to be giving an update on the incubation program. It's looking really, really good. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow's call as well. You can join us at 2:30 UTC. The DAI Foundation MIPS are still in RFC. We're getting a lot of comments, which are really good and push us to communicate better what we're trying to do. So we are drafting answers. Please hold, especially Seth. That's one of our most, one of the ones that gave the most feedback. So really appreciate it. Regarding the InQBs, I'm repeating myself from what I said last week, but we do have these 2 new core units joining soon. We will give more details very, very soon. One is about auctions and liquidations and any type of service related to that, which is great for the security of the protocol. And the other one also related to security is about setting up a good bug bounty program and make sure that any bug is found in time and can be solved. That's pretty much it. Regarding the community, Nadia already mentioned a lot, but yeah, we were on the WSOUR's Decentralized Breakfast, Gustav and myself. It was a nice talk with different projects, including the guys from 1inch. Then the keeping up with the Maker Mafia was really, really nice. You've probably seen some of the pictures on Twitter. And tomorrow, Lenka and myself are going to the Daoist to discuss decentralization in different aspects. We have confirmed the real world assets collateral onboarding with Untangled on the 30th. So that's next Friday. And still on August the 11th, we have the Know Your MIP declaration of intent for B protocol. So join us if you want more. Can you quickly show previous screen for a sec? Yes, Artem. I can also, all the deck is on our public folder. I can send the link to you. And that's it. I don't know about if you want to add anything. Since you're...
No, I think we're good. The other activity that's going on in the background is that we're working on better visualizing the different projects that we're working on and the milestones that we have planned for the future, but that will be for maybe for next time.
Mm-hmm. Any questions, or should we give the floor to someone else?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I have a question, which is maybe it's written down somewhere. I just haven't had a chance to read it, but I guess I'm kind of curious as to what the length of time for the InQBs is, like the plan, right? Like, is it kind of just until they're ready? Like, are any of them like close to ready if that's the case, or is there like, I guess, is there like a fixed cutoff or anything? Like, how does that work?
So it really depends. It's the official answer. We are aiming for 4 to 8 months, but it really depends on the background that each team will have, right? Some of them are really, really well acquainted with Maker. They've been working among themselves. They have a really solid base on, I don't know, anything that has to do with decentralized organization. So depending on what they need to do, it might be pretty much like, let's provide value, let's make sure that all the checklist is done, and you're out writing the MIP and helping with that. Or it could be like a much longer process where we need to, I don't know, give courses on what Maker is doing, how they can help, and a big list of etc. Something that we do have is, and we will make it public soon, but we have a list of all the modules that we have built with the potential deliverable at the end. So I think that will be super useful for core units that we cannot incubate because of bandwidth or because they don't fall into our mandate, but anyone would be able to pretty much follow the course on their own with the provided templates. So definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, and I would expect that tomorrow the at least at the high level, these objectives and key results that we include for every QB will be included in the presentation that Nikolai will be giving. The other comment that I had was that the timeline is also heavily influenced by the configuration of the team, mostly whether they have worked before, they have worked together before, or if they are a new team. A new team takes way more time to set up and make efficient than a team that has been working together since a long time.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thank you both. Any other questions for SES? All right, moving on. I think that brings us to our Mips updates. David.
Yes, hi everybody. Let me get the screen.
There you go.
Thank you. All right, cool. Let me make this a little larger. All right, cool. Hey everybody. Welcome to the weekly Mips update. And today we're going to be doing another state of the boat. So as you know, we have a new monthly governance cycle process. Instead of the old one, now we just have ratification polls for each of the individual MIPS, sub-proposals, MIP sets. And currently we're about 3/4 of the way through July's ratification polls. So they last for 2 weeks. Today is the 22nd. And we are coming up to the close of these votes on Monday, the 26th. So yeah, let's check out what's happening right now. So we already did this last week, so I'm not going to go into all of the little details of each of these. So I'm just going to name them by title and show you guys what's happening. So collateral engineering, well, there's a number of core units, right? So let's start with core units. There's collateral engineering services. Currently, No is in the lead with about 40,000 MKR leading. Really curious to hear, MKR opinions on the forum on why this is a no and all of that good stuff. Amazix likewise is leading with a huge around 40,000 MKR lead on no. So that is also not vibing with the current MKR voters. As for strategic Marcoms, this is their second attempt formally submitting their core unit. They are also leading with a no with 33,000 MKR for no and about 11,000 for yes. And then finally, we have the governance communications core unit, which is leading with a yes at 34,500 MKR and very little on no. So that's looking pretty good. As for the other two MIPS that aren't CUs, and then the two budget modifications for existing CUs, so the special purpose fund, MIP 55, is in a huge lead with about 40,000 MKR on it, so that's looking good. Dispute resolution actually was leading last week when I did this update, but the winds have changed, and so now we have a very split vote with about 17,000 on yes and about 20,000 on no. Really curious to hear this discussed. I don't think that this MIP was discussed enough. At least I didn't see too much written discussion about it. I'm curious to hear people's opinions on what needs to be changed and all that kind of stuff. As for budget modifications, so we had growth and content production do a couple of modifications, and both of those are passing with flying colors with over 40,000 MKR on yes for those. And I believe that's it for the formal submissions and the current vote. So yeah, it looks like 3/4 of the CUs are not doing too well, and MIP 52 is not doing too well. Everything else is passing currently. But of course, we have until Monday the 26th to change our votes, to shift our votes, to see other new voters come in. So let's hold our breaths. New in RFC, we have a few things. So we have the DAI Foundation core unit that Soren Peter Nielsen posted. So last week I actually got the proposed annual budget wrong. Based on their budget MIP, it looks like they're projecting around $500,000 a year of operating expenses, but part of their proposal is also to include a $3 million reserve. It's not paid out in full At first, it's like $2 million first year, then $1 million the next year. And so, yeah, that is that. And then we also had Chris Cameron, aka Paper Imperium, propose a Maker portfolio core unit. Also, this is like one team member, under $500,000 proposed annual budget. And it would be like a middle core unit to deal with, to build a portfolio of publicly traded real world financial assets. So yeah, discuss. We also saw, I think it was Tim Shupi, who posted the Maker Labs core unit. So this is, it's an RFC technically, but I think it's more like in conception because there's no facilitator proposal for it and there's no budget proposal for it. But the idea is there. So the mandate proposal is up, and it's a team that's focusing on developing and releasing, minimum viable products of new and experimental products, basically. So it's it's a little engineering lab. It's really cool. So discuss. And then the other two new in RFC this month MIPS that I want to mention are MIP 56, the alternative MKR compensation guidelines. So the components actually changed a little bit since they were first posted. So definitely check those out and see if you would be willing to vote. And then we have MIP 57, the Real World Asset Committee that was posted by Greg. And the idea behind this MIP is that it formalizes the creation of a real world assets committee, and its scope is basically to like make recommendations on 3 particular points, which is like structural requirements for real world assets, geopolitical implications of real world assets. Apologies, I'm hopped up on cold brew, and business strategy of real world assets. And so, yeah, there is a lot of back and forth in the forum on whether this is needed as a MIP. And so really interesting discussion happening there. Yeah, definitely feel free to jump in there if you are interested. And with that, that is about it for my section. Yeah, we're continuously improving mips.makerdao.com. A huge shout out to Blimpo and DSpot for really like putting tons and tons of work into the portal in the last month. And so, yeah, check it out. And I will now stop talking.
Great. Thank you, David.
No problem.
Yeah, so as David said, still going to be a few more days to vote on those active ratification polls. Yeah, again, if anyone. So I think we've basically come to it at the end of our agenda. So if anybody, I guess, wants to try and change hearts and minds on any of the current MIPS that are up for vote, if you want to, this could be like a time, a good opportunity. I know we have at least a few of the authors here. Does anybody want to, I guess, outline the MIP that's up for vote at the very least? Yeah, Paper can definitely do that for sure. I was actually going to come to you later on, but now it's good.
Awesome. Yeah, I just wanted to remind everybody that on Wednesday, July 28th at, I think it's 1600 UTC, we will have Representative Ted Budd of the U.S. House Financial Services Committee on for our as our third guest for Q&A with MakerDAO. So anybody that's interested, please go ahead and mark your calendar. And there should be an anonymous question box available for anyone that has a question for the representative.
Great. Yeah, thank you for the reminder. Perhaps I imagine that's quite exciting for everyone, but maybe more so our American colleagues. But yeah, it should be to see how it goes, for sure. I guess while we're plugging things, I will also plug the first Meet Your Delegates meeting, which is on the same day. It's 1800 UTC. So July 28th, 1800 UTC. So this is an opportunity to ask a couple of the, well, what will be recognized delegates questions. If you're planning on delegating MKR to someone, and I'm not sure who, this is maybe a good thing to show up to, sort of just kind of get a feel for delegates themselves, like ask them questions if you want to. I guess help to sort of try and get to a point where you can understand whether there's someone you're kind of comfortable delegating MKR to or not, as the case may be. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not eligible, Andrew. Yes, thanks. All right.
So going back to what you said about plugging these other core units, I don't know if I'm necessarily going to plug them, but I do have like a question. Are we planning on having marketing? Like, what is it that MKR holders just are not psyched on the structure of this team or performance or what? Because it does occur to me that like as we build stuff, like I'm not like going out and being like, hey, like we built all this cool stuff, like come check it out. Like we need somebody that's gonna go out and sort of champion what the protocol is building, and sort of push forward a narrative. So it does seem like Maker probably needs some sort of marketing group. And in fact, I think we've had a few cases where like, we're just like not doing well up against our competition. That's probably because this group's in limbo right now. So does anybody have like any feedback about exactly what's going on here? I mean, do we think we can do better? Do we think we don't need marketing? Like, what's the story with the Marcoms unit? Maybe nobody has.
While we wait for people to speak up, that's more or less the question that I would ask as an MKR holder. Even if you're not 100% happy with the proposal, there won't probably be an alternative for anytime soon. So is no marketing core unit better than having a marketing core unit that maybe you're not 100% convinced of trying to prove itself?
I'd like to echo that sentiment.
Same.
I guess this is up to me to answer. Yes, I voted against the formation as the of the Markham units as a CU, and why? I don't believe they're up to the task, and you could say that all right, it was due to the foundation they gimped them. That could be 100% true. But again, the foundation never prevented them from actually planning something useful. And from what I've seen, I mean, this pains me. I mean, I'm torn on this, but to me it looks like it is better we just start all over again. This has to do with it is not just it's not just DAI that needs marketing. It is an effort that goes across it's the community, it is vaults, it is everything. And I mean, I would love to see that there could be potential of them doing it, but I don't see it. Let's say that this was mathematics, okay? And there's a 2 + 2 equation, and they say it's 5. And I could easily point out their error, and it would be kind of fine. But it's not. And marketing is a very it's basically everything but mathematics. All right, so
any criticism of marketing will become vague just as marketing, because I can say anything and state my opinion, but proof, that is hard to come by. Okay. So I made my case. I put my arguments in the forum, and I don't feel good about it. But to be honest, can I look another MKR holder straight in the eye and say, like, this is being handled perfectly or good enough? No. I'm open to change my mind, but right now I'll prefer just to start all over again, even if that means having no team for months. And this not to digress too much, the issue with MA6, it also proved that we don't really have an effective interface towards an external marketing team. So they made a proposal, and everybody was against it. And I think we just have to start from zero. That's my opinion. And if people agree with that, fine. If if you don't agree, just voice your opinion. Doesn't matter what you think. If my opinion is unpopular, that's totally okay. But that is my honest, real opinion on markups.
So can I actually jump in here and get some clarification? So my understanding is that the strategic marcoms team, as it's proposed right now, is not the same team that was in the foundation. Like, there are members in that team that were on that team, but primarily it's led by Kathleen, so she was working with Coulter and all that. So it's like a derivative team, and they are pretty much starting from scratch. And I don't know if I personally like, and I know this is separate from the clarification, so that's one point. Then my second point that I just really want to quickly throw out there is I'm not convinced that we should be starting from scratch. Like, the foundation, yes, like like they laid down, or they gained a lot of foundational knowledge and built out a lot of the foundational like image of Maker. And so I don't think that should be put to waste. And having like team members from the original marketing team in this new marketing team makes sense to me as a voter. And that's part of the reason why I personally voted yes. But yeah, that's just my couple cents. But I wanted to clarify the team membership part.
All right. Yes, that is true. As you say, I'm not totally 100% on this. Because it is a vague question. I will go by my gut feeling and say that no, we need to start all over.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you for sharing.
I mean, I think part of this issue is it's hard for a marketing team, no matter what you think of them, to come up with a very detailed plan because to be quite honest, I think, before we even have a marketing team, we've not done a good job of establishing what image we want to project of Maker and what we want our, official, or I guess because we're a DAO semi-official messaging to be. And I think that's maybe a separate conversation, though.
Yeah, also people aren't super clear on what the actual like product offerings on Maker are. Like, like there's a huge heavy focus on DAI, but people don't realize that's just like one side of the coin, right? We have potentially a line of business in oracles. We have so many new vaults. We have, the DSR, we have, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so I think also marketing teams externally that are coming in, they're going to have a really hard time and a really long time getting up to speed on what exactly it is that they're marketing and how they have to think about MakerDAO. That's also something I think is true, generally true.
Yes, you are entirely correct about that. And also, a marketing team has the potential of, because it's something that everybody can have an opinion about. They have the potential of being a kind of a scapegoat. Yeah, that's the truth of it. So, is the job hard? Yes, it is. But I don't. Okay. Okay. I've said what I think.
So maybe
I guess, and it's also what I heard is the budget they are proposing, and maybe from a core unit that we don't know what I mean. I think the same as you. I don't know what will be the object, what they can do with Maker, because we have to define the brand, products, the market. Like there are a lot of stuff to do, and I don't know if to achieve that the budget they are asking is too much or too low. I have no idea. I'm not a marketing person, so I think maybe that's something that from a maker holder perspective that is voting could generate doubts, because it's a 1-year budget. And well, my approach, because I thought when I presented growth core unit, was I have to like show the community and MakerDAO in general what growth can do, and that's why I thought about presenting a budget for 1 quarter, so you can like see the results and understand what is growth about. I think probably for future core units that we don't know what they are capable to do, it will be like a good idea to start with a quarter budget, so we can understand, even the group could understand what they can do with Maker as a DAO, because what we are doing now as growth is different than what we did when we were at the foundation. So we have to like recalculate the budget with this, with the current context. So I think that could be something that could be problematic for Maker holders when they are voting and seeing the budget.
Yeah. I don't have a perfect solution going forward on this, but what I could imagine that at some time there's a kind of a steering group or a marketing steering committee, something like that, that directions the vector. What do we want marketing to do? And based on that, we can make initiatives, possibly in-house, and we'll see how that develops. But at the present time, I don't really have any constructive initiatives except from that.
To add something, and it's a bit echoing on that, I think that what we're going to see as a DAO is that it's very hard to come with a unified vision, for better and worse, right? So what we'll probably end up seeing is different core units getting a marketing budget. Like I can totally imagine growth getting a marketing budget. Nick already announced some marketing budget for the Oracle's core unit. So I can totally see different core units doing this. I don't know if it's the best way, but until a decentralized marketing core unit that comes with a unified vision, so this needs to come from them, right? That resonates with the DAO or the MKR holders, whoever they are at the moment of the voting. I think that we will have a hard time. It's very hard to do design by committee, and you just grab I don't know, Chris, Brian, Peyton, and Planet X, and it's like, okay, guys, what's the vision? Like, I think that if we're 50 people in this call, we will get 51 visions for what MakerDAO should be. So to set that before we start, it's extremely hard, and it's not very aligned with the DAO in general. So as we grow more and more decentralized, we'll probably need to see either the marketing function coming within core units, or as I was saying, some core unit that has a message that resonates a lot with the rest of the community, and we can all get behind.
So
yes, you could be completely correct about that.
So I can maybe just make a quick comment if I can. So I kind of don't love like the idea of every core unit having to handle their own marketing stuff. That seems a little inefficient. Though probably more decentralized, right? Like personally, I don't particularly want to be worrying about like marketing bits of governance stuff, right? Like delegates are a good example, right? Like I don't really want to be the one that needs to worry about like how to kind of spread the message about how delegates work, right? So even aside from the whole vision stuff, like just having a core unit that you can go to and say like, hey, I need a marketing push on this thing. Can you like organize that, please? Would be pretty useful, personally, for GovAlpha, I think. But yeah.
No, absolutely, and I can imagine a group of even one person saying like, hey, I'll do marketing. We can start on a per hour basis and fund me, and then I'll get a budget from the DAO. And instead of, hey, I don't know the exact amount that Marcom is asking for, but that's a big bet, right? And I think that's what Planet X was saying, is like, you don't know if you're going to get the quality, and upfront is like a big promise to go into that. So I don't think every core unit will need to have a marketing department or a marketing function, but I can see potential either core units getting marketing people to help within, or as I was saying, like a group of 3 guys that are really good that want to prove that they can do it. Long, what do you need? How can we help? Start small and then scale up as we go.
Yeah, I agree with the starting small and scaling up approach. That makes a lot of sense to me.
I think one of the key aspects of this particular core unit is that there are constraints in every system that you're going to see, whether they're in the foundation or the DAO. And someone that has experienced and managed the transition of the foundation into the DAO for the past 6+ months, there's a lot that the community will never know about the constraints that we had in our systems for a variety of reasons. And there's no point in going into it here. But when you take a look at I know that the past is an indicator of future results, but that might not be the case here. And so we also have a governance system set up to enable us to say, hey, let's put you in there, but after evaluating your performance for a couple of months, we don't think you're the team to be able to move this forward. So we have that built into the system. I would just encourage us to be able to use the tools that we have already in governance to be able to manage through this process.
So I mean, I think that's correct. I think like most of that onus though is on the proposing team, right? Like the team proposes a budget for a period of time. Like if they want to propose a shorter budget, then maybe that makes more sense. Maybe that's more chance of passing, right? But like if a core unit proposes like a year-long budget, like it's kind of hard for governance to like cut it off halfway through and say, yeah, no, right?
I hear you, and yet we're in a monthly budget cycle as the execs go through, and there are checks and balances in the system to ensure that we're not spending money where we don't need to. So let's utilize the systems that we have set up to be able to give people an opportunity. They're the closest to the action to be able to accomplish this. They have the domain knowledge, and if they're not successful, let's just simply work with them to ensure that we can achieve success.
Something that might have an impact in this disconnect that we're seeing is that that we usually don't have any member from the Marcom's unit in this call, and it might be because Kat is in Japan, so right now it's quite late for her. But yeah, it's either California or Japan, right? So at some point the time zones play a bit against this worldwide vision that we have, but that might also have not helped the cause.
One concern that I've raised privately and I'm willing to raise publicly with regard to the Amazix proposal is that, at least in my experience, agencies typically work with companies who have a marketing director or someone in a management position to work with them so that the agency is being managed and it's clear what the agency is doing for the company, and the agency is not just endlessly coming up with, let's do this research, or let's do, I don't know, things to just drive up their budget essentially. So with regard to the Amazix proposal, I was concerned, I've been a little concerned that since we don't have a team that's ready to take on that sort of responsibility, that's not a responsibility I'd want to take on as part of content production at this time. So yeah, I just think there's a little dissonance there kind of from a structural perspective. To that point, I think the suggestion Planet X made about taking a sort of committee-based approach is the way to go. Let's, we've had discussion around parallelization of core units, and that is an effort that I generally support, but I do see some issue with marketing units in particular, because as others have brought up, there does need to be some level of cohesion around specifically branding. It's okay. I love the idea of having multiple core units working on marketing, but they definitely need to be synced up on messaging, or else things are just going to get awkward. And the other issue that I've seen come up with these proposals is that I think is valid is a somewhat lack of specificity around the type of marketing activities that teams are going to engage in and why they make sense for the DAO at this time. This is something that even we've struggled with, even on the content team, because I can sit around and come up with different ideas for content all day, but at the end of the day, we need to think about what's the most effective for where we're at right now. And I think we do have some specific needs right now that it would be helpful to address. The one that I've raised to a few people offline is specifically around PR. I believe GovComms is going to be taking that on, so I'm excited to see that. But yeah, I think having some discussion in the coming weeks, we can work on some forum posts to maybe start trying to suss this out, but getting a clear vision of specifically what marketing activities the DAO would find valuable, and coming up with some kind of approach to maybe bring on some teams or individuals to help with those things, I think is that could be a path forward, aside from
I think it would be a good idea for some core unit, and sorry if I'm jumping in over you, so I thought you're done, right? Okay, cool. Yeah, so I think that it probably would be a great idea for MakerDAO as an org, like annually, to devote like a month to really solidifying and like revisiting the vision of what is success at MakerDAO, what do we want to market at MakerDAO, et cetera, et cetera. And like marketing teams are kind of at the whim of who participates and who interacts with them. So I encourage people from other CUs, people who are leading product, engineers, to also participate in those conversations, because without your input, it's also going to be pretty hard to understand what the consensus and general like direction that everybody's comfortable with is. But yeah, I think we should like do like a marketing month or like a vision month or something to kind of make it more inclusive and make people more aware that it's even happening.
I mean, there's an alternative here which we could go with right now, which is we don't need a unifying vision for marketing. we have individual features that we're going to release, and we have individual audiences that those features are targeted at. And right now, like I'll give it an example, we just pushed the ability to take a 500 million DAI flash loan in a single block and use it. I just looked at the contract while we were having this conversation, and not a single person has consumed a flash loan off that thing and sent it. And I think that's got to be because most people just don't know that they can do it, or maybe the documentation isn't good enough. But we don't know that unless someone is trying to market it. And meanwhile, the PE team has moved on to working on something else. Unifying vision to like tell DeFi or to tell engineers or to tell people that this feature exists. You know, and part of a little bit of, I'm just going to add this as an additional point. So let's imagine like we're in a world where we're just marketing those features that, you know, that may work out really well. We don't really need to know exactly what the audience is. I mean, the audience may change, right? There's no reason we can't be targeting, let's say, institution and users, especially as we start to deploy to like optimism again. I'm worried right now that without any kind of marketing, we're going to end up in sort of like a default scenario. Like growth is pushing hard, but growth has, and as growth does that, they're going to bucket us into the sort of institutional direction. I mean, maybe we can end up with like more end users, but it's really hard to look at end users and take a gamble there and think that you're going to get a ton of growth, because a lot of people just, I mean, you know, you could take like millions of users and they're not going to amount to one institution. And yet, you know, I think part of what we're trying to build here is for everybody, that's inclusive, that doesn't have gatekeepers, that's available to everyone, so that we don't repeat the same mistakes that we have made before. And without a sort of marketing core unit, I'm not entirely sure that we're going to be able to market just to like end users like that. I think we're going to end up in a sort of default operating scenario. So I would say minimally, without the unifying vision, I think we need some type of marketing so that we can just like pick features off that we make over to a marketing group, and they can try and see if they can get those things to gain adoption. And then, yeah, and then to like David's point, like as at the like bigger picture, we probably do want to come up with maybe a unifying like brand image or an idea of like what we want to do. But we don't have to do that now. And I don't think we're all going to agree on what that is. So yeah, I don't know. That's maybe the last word that I'll say on it as well. But.
Yep. Thanks, Chris. I think that was yeah, well said. So as I mentioned in the sidebar, we're running out of time a little bit now. So if anyone has closing comments they want to make, Wouter.
Yeah, I have one. I want to go a big step further than what Chris was saying. I want to challenge even the fact that we need a single vision and image and so on in the long term. I don't think that that's a very good direction to push in, because you can't do that effectively as a decentralized organization. You will never agree. It will take forever. It will be inefficient. It will be designed by committee. It will have all the downsides of all these mechanisms that we know so well. So instead, I think we should be looking at some maybe more guerrilla style marketing or whatever you want to call it, but probably focused on smaller groups. So for example, marketing, as Chris said, either individual features or individual core units or individual aspects that offer a view on what the Maker ecosystem is. You're not marketing Coca-Cola, you're marketing a decentralized ecosystem, and there will be different views on what that ecosystem is and what the strengths are and what the strong selling points are. And I think that should continue to be the case even in the long run, because otherwise we will just lose out to our centralized competitors.
Yeah, in fact, Mariano here, this is something that we've been discussing in the forum before. And from growth, we proposed something like product marketing, in which each core unit that really knows their product can market it. For example, I love the example of Oracle's teams that has their own marketing budget, because they know really, really well, and better than anyone, what are the things that people the people that uses oracles are looking for, right? And same thing I would say, for example, for a flash loan feature, right? It's pretty hard to develop a message. It's to look for audience, to look for users when something is like a very unique feature with very special case about it. And that is why I'm with Walter with this. I think that the path of product marketing is much better for us, and it will be much capital efficient than rather having like a whole set of marketing that, although I do not vote for that, I still think that maybe some kind of branding, let's say core unit or something like that, we could have, but it's a really small core unit in my mind, at least, right? Because it will be only for branding actions. But I totally agree that for me, the product marketing path is the path that we need to.
Yep. Thanks, Mariano. Yeah, and Walter, like I think I saw a lot of agreement with what Walter was saying. And just to echo it from like a governance perspective, right? Like it's really hard for us to agree that sort of thing with the governance, like with any governance process with this many stakeholders, right? But like managing that would be like a massive like project for Go Alpha, right? And yeah, I honestly I think I agree with Walter. Like it's a lot of expense for something that probably doesn't get us a huge amount of gain. And it's not an advantage we have over centralized competitors. All right, so we're maybe past the half hour now, so very short final points if anyone has them.
Just one brief point on the Success capital structure. We've been waiting for the last few weeks for movement with the broker dealer to get the documentation finalized, giving us our DAI address, to which we now have that arrived about half an hour ago. So we're going to be working to get, I guess, working through the process now to get that DAI address put into however it's set up in MIP 21 as a target address. And then we're going to be moving to close with the trustee here in the coming weeks. Stay tuned.
Perfect. Thanks, Matt. And yeah, just again, another reminder for the meetings that are coming up. Paper Imperiums, I can't remember what you call the series now. The meetings where you talk to people who are awesome. And the delegate meetings coming up. Speaker series, thank you, Peyton. All right. Yeah, thank you everyone for coming and taking part. We had a good discussion today, so yeah, it's good. It's all right. Thanks all. Talk to you all soon.
Thanks everybody. Super interesting conversation today.